Now we're going to tour the Salesforce homepage. And we touched on this briefly in the previous lecture, but on this home tab, it brings you to your homepage, and we have here on the sidebar the create new menu, the recent items, and recycle bin. Then on the right side, we have my own username here, the date, the chatter feed, and I can hide that by clicking hide feed. And that collapses that down to bring in the calendar and the my tasks section of the screen and items to approve. And since this is a brand new Salesforce org, I don't have any items to approve or any tasks scheduled. We'll get into some of that more here in just a moment. I'm going to show the chatter feed again. I mentioned previously that chatter is much like Twitter. You can mention people. You can create groups, join groups, that sort of thing. And here's my chatter update is that I created the public group All My Queeler Media. That's my company name. And that happens by default when you first create your account, is it creates a public group that is company-wide for all, and then whatever your company name is. You can add comments by clicking comment, but first we're going to get here in the sidebar and get to work creating some records by using the create new menu, sometimes referred to as the quick create. And we have a few things that we can create here, such as events and tasks, accounts, contacts, cases, solutions, and reports. And one thing I want to note is that you may not have access to this if you're using a pre-existing Salesforce organization or a work account that you may have access to. And this is the reason why I encourage you to go ahead and sign up for the free developer account so that you can follow along. And so let's now create an account. And this will be our first record that we create as a user in Salesforce in this Salesforce instance. So I'm going to click on account. And so now that takes me to the new account screen. And so the functionality of Salesforce when you're creating a record is much the same depending on what sort of record you're creating, and then any required fields will have this red mark to the side of the field, and the default owner of this record is myself, and that's a default property that happens because I'm creating the account. And I'm going to create an account name for my own company, which is My Queeler Media LLC. There's a lot of other fields that can be filled in as far as phone number, fax, website, and these are different field types that you'll run into. These fields here are called drop downs, and these allow for you to select just one of many selections. I'm just going to select other, then industry, we'll call it education. And so once you're done creating a record for your own company account, you can click save. I could click save and new if I wanted to create another account, but I'm just going to create this one. Our intention is to tour the home page. And so now I'm on this account page for this account that I just created. So to return back to the home page, I click the home tab here at the top left, and now I'm back at my home screen. You see as well that a recent item I have now in my recent items list is My Queeler Media LLC. And so if I hover over that, this brings out a fly-out hover menu for the account, and you can view or edit from here if you wish. You can also view the hierarchy. And this is another standard functionality of Salesforce, is that a lot of times you can hover over records and it'll bring up the ability to see more detail and even access an edit button. I want to delete this record in order to show you how the recycle bin works. I'm going to click on view to view my account and return back to the account page that we were on previously. And now on this account page, we have a delete button, and I'm going to go ahead and click that to delete my account record. It asks me if I'm sure. I'm going to click OK to confirm the deletion of my account record. And so now I'm back on the accounts tab. I'm going to return to the home page. So now I have no items to display my recent items because I deleted my own account record. I can go into the recycle bin to display what I've recently deleted. And usually records stay for about 15 days in this recycle bin, but that can vary depending on the settings of your own organization. And if there's a lot of records being deleted, it may disappear before 15 days. And so it's always a good idea if you need to restore something to do so right away. So I'm going to return my Queeler Media account record back into my Salesforce instance by checking the checkbox next to it. You see as well, it shows the deletion date and time and the type of record that it is, which is an account, and who it was deleted by. And I'm going to click undelete. So now the recycle bin refreshes to show that there's nothing in the recycle bin. And this is my own personal recycle bin. There will also be an all recycle bin that is company wide. You may or may not have access to that as a user. System administrators will have access to the all recycle bin. So if you're not finding a particular record that you're looking for that may belong to someone else, you can check the all recycle bin and find records that belong to other people if you have proper access rights. So now you notice that since I've restored that record, my account file is now available under the recent items, and it has now been restored. So let's go back to the home page from the recycle bin view here. A few other things on the home page that we need to go over are the ability to search. And I spoke to this search bar here at the top briefly in the previous lecture, but let's search now for my account record. So I'm going to type in the word Mike, and you see here as I type that results display, and these are under my recent items, and that is the account record that I previously restored. So you can search that way. You can also search by using wildcard. So if I wanted to search for anything that started with MI, for instance, you can use wildcards and click search, and this gives you the search results window. By clicking search and using the wildcard, it returns all matching records that start with the letters MI, and there's one account record. If there were other types of records that matched, they would appear here on the left, and you notice that all these have zeros and the accounts has 1. You can also search chatter feeds for specific words. We'll go into chatter more later. And then also, especially when you're starting out in a new Salesforce instance, there will be these yellow windows that appear that can give you a tour of the interface. But I'm going to dismiss that since we're giving a more in-depth tour of the interface through this section of the course. So now that we've covered how to search in Salesforce, let's return back to the home screen. There's a few other items that we need to address. We showed chatter here in the feed that we can hide, and I'm going to go ahead and hide that now because I want to talk about things that appear below the chatter feed. That would be your calendar. On the calendar, it defaults to showing your scheduled meetings, and this is a new Salesforce instance, so we have no scheduled meetings and no requested meetings. And here's where you can enter a new event or a new meeting request. And so you just simply click new event. This is much like entering a meeting request in Microsoft Outlook or a similar email interface. And so to create a new event, I've got this assigned to myself. You enter a subject, and then you can add invitees to this event by doing a search for either contacts or leads in the system. And there's a handful of fake contacts and leads in the system by default when you first sign up for your free Salesforce instance. And so I've searched for someone named Stella Pavlova, and this is a fictional account called United Oil and Gas Corp, and you should have this same person in your own Salesforce instance if you're using the free account. You can relate this event to an opportunity or an account or an asset or several other types of records, but I'm going to leave that blank to not relate it to a record. You can specify a location, and then you can set a start and end time. I'm going to set this for May 16th, and we're going to start at 10 a.m. and end at 11. If it were instead an all-day event, you would check here. You can provide description. This would be the description of the meeting request or event. If you wanted to create a recurring series of events, you could specify recurrence, and here's where you can select the frequency of daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly, and a start and end date. I'm going to uncheck that because this is a one-time request. You can set a reminder to pop up, and you can do that to be any 5, 10, 15 minutes all the way to 2 weeks in advance, prompting the user with a reminder. We're just going to have it be the default 15 minutes and then click save. So now we return back to the home screen, and I now have a scheduled meeting. Now there's some details around the date, the time, the location, and who is invited. And if I had any requested meetings, they would appear here. And what a meeting request is this is more of a traditional view, calendar-based view that you may be used to if dealing with Microsoft Outlook. And you can add invitees. You can click the to field here to search for users, leads, and contacts. I'm going to search for myself because I'm a user of the Salesforce instance. I'm going to insert selected by checking the box and clicking insert selected. And then let's pull up Stella as well. Previously search for Stella Pavlova. We're going to check her and say insert selected and click done. And then we can put a subject here. Let's say conference call. We're just going to leave where to be determined. And then you can propose a meeting time, or you can let Salesforce propose meeting times. If you let Salesforce propose a meeting time, it'll check your calendar and propose up to 5 meeting times based on your availability. And when invitees view the meeting request, they select one or more times that work for them and send you a reply. So you can select a time frame within 5 business days, 10 business days, or whenever, and a duration time. You can set the duration of the meeting. I'm going to say 30 minutes and within 5 business days. And then click next. Then you can type in your message. And then when you're ready to send the meeting request, click send. And so now I have one requested meeting on my homepage, and we're waiting for a response from Stella. So 0 out of 1 have responded. So we have our scheduled meetings and we have our requested meetings. And the requested meetings where the people that you're requesting a meeting with can select a time, or once again, you can propose a meeting time if you wish. And so just real quickly, to propose a meeting time, I'm going to propose that we meet at 10 a.m. on Tuesday the 17th for 1 hour. And this is just another example of a meeting request that you can do in Salesforce. Click next, type my message, and add the invitees, insert selected, click done. Don't forget the subject. And when you're all done, click send. For this most recent meeting request where I just proposed the time myself, that is one where Stella can respond if she can make it or not, whereas the other one that I created previously will give her the availability to select a time that works best for her and let her kind of drive the time to meet. And those times that are made available to her are those that are open on my own calendar. So let's go back to our calendar here, and you see that you can click on the calendar and see different daily views as well. And so the calendar solution on Salesforce is very robust, and there's a lot of different views that you can have. As far as you see for Monday, May 16th, I've got this marked as busy for the meeting with Stella. So you can also view like a 7-day view, and that would be a weekly view, or 31-day view for a monthly view. And so as you start using Salesforce and using the calendar to manage events, meeting requests, this will fill up real quickly. You can also share your calendar. So if you wish to share your calendar, you can share it with individual users, personal or public groups, or you can even share it to users in a particular role. There's a lot of sharing particulars you can do as far as hiding and showing details or giving full access. And so you can explore that more if you have the need to share your calendar fully. Returning back to the home page, we need to talk about tasks briefly as well in order to round out the Salesforce homepage. And so tasks are reminders of things that you need to do, and these are sometimes assigned to you by others or through automated processes in Salesforce, or they're also things that you can create for yourself, and it's a reminder, much like a task in Microsoft Outlook, to remind you to do something. So I'm assigning this task to myself, but I could assign it to someone else, a different user in the system, and then you just enter a subject, set a due date, and you can set a priority. And then the status, you can say in progress, completed, waiting on someone else, or deferred. I'm going to say in progress. Enter in comments for this task. You can create a recurring series of tasks if you wanted to set a daily reminder, such as this example here is a reminder for me to close cases before the end of the day. I would do this daily every weekday, with a start date of today and then an end date. You can click calculate max end date, and this is the maximum end date you can do for a recurring task. You can set reminders on the occurrence date or 1 or more days before, and even 1 or 2 weeks before the task date. And I'm just going to set this for the occurrence date and to occur at 8 a.m. each day, and click save. So now I have a recurring task set up to remind me to close all cases each weekday. And so this view here shows only overdue tasks that are assigned to me, and I don't have any tasks that are currently overdue. If I were to change this to today, I still have no open tasks because this happens to be a Sunday. It's not a work day or a weekday. So I'm going to say tomorrow my tasks, and now you'll see that there is one task, and that's for tomorrow. Status is in progress. This means that it's a recurring task, and the exclamation mark means that it has a status of high. If I wanted to mark this as complete, let's say that I've already completed tomorrow's task in advance, I could check the X mark in order to mark it as complete. And now you notice that the status for this task has been updated to completed. So I'm going to click save. And so now when I return to my home page and the filter on the My Task is for Tomorrow. It's now been removed because it's been completed. And finally, on the home page are any items that you have to approve, and that has to do with approval process items. You may not have any items to approve, and this may not appear on your home screen. It really depends on your job function. Some people will have items to approve, and those will appear here on the home page, and then others will not. And so we've now rounded out and spent a lot of time on the Salesforce homepage. And now, before we get further into some of the other areas of the interface and core functionality that you'll be performing in marketing, sales, and service, we now want to dive into the next section of this course, which deals with personalizing Salesforce.